Flight 828, which mysteriously disappeared 5 years ago, suddenly returns. The unchanged 191 passengers were also lucky to return though, but the investigation reveals a shocking piece of information. Having disappeared for 5 years, they can only survive for 5 years, meaning that after 5 years they will all face death. No one knows what's going on. The returnees often experience mysterious callings in their minds. Some go mad or lose their lives because of these callings, while others try to understand and follow them. This is the case with the Michaela siblings, who believe that these callings can save others. One day, Michaela senses something is wrong when she returns home. She opens the door to find Jared arguing with another person. A gunshot rings out, and Michaela falls to the ground, wounded. As her consciousness fades, Michaela tells the man who accidentally shot her to escape. The man hesitated for a moment and then fled, after which Jared rushed Michaela to the hospital. The man who fled is named Zeke. It turns out that a few days earlier, Michaela had received a callings. A man was dying in the snow and ice, and she didn't understand the meaning of the summons for a while. Meanwhile, Cal left home mysteriously after drawing a picture. Ben finds the address based on the painting, and Cal is actually sitting in this shitty little house. Cal said he came there because of a calling. Suddenly, a man frozen stiff all over stumbled in. He was Zeke. Everyone lit a fire to warm him up. Upon seeing his coat, Hella realized he was the man from her vision. After Zeke woke up, they learned that he had been caught in an avalanche while climbing a mountain in 2017. He was buried in a cave, and when he woke up, it was already 2018. Had he died in the ice and snow only to be resurrected a year later? Afterward, Michaela took the homeless Zeke back to her place, allowing him to stay temporarily. Their growing closeness made Jared jealous, and he had Zeke followed secretly. One day, Jared saw Zeke involved in a mysterious transaction. Investigating Zeke's past, he found out Zeke was once an addict. Jared then followed Zeke to Michaela's house to search for illegal substances, worried Michaela might get entangled in Zeke's troubles. Despite a thorough search, no illegal items were found. A heated argument broke out between Jared and Zeke, which led to a scuffle. During the struggle, Michaela was accidentally injured. Thankfully, Michaela was saved in time and was not in life-threatening danger. Meanwhile, Ben noticed an unfamiliar car parked outside his house. When he approached to check, he was hooded and taken away. Upon removing the hood, he couldn't believe his eyes.
You're not the only one who can come back from the dead.
Zeke! Grab my hand! Grab my hand! Zeke, no!
This scene was another vision from Michaela's mind. Zeke, tormented by guilt after accidentally injuring Michaela, decided to turn himself in. During his trial, he didn't hire a lawyer to defend himself and admitted to the charges. Despite Michaela's insistence that it was an accident, Zeke couldn't avoid imprisonment. Once in prison, he was immediately taken in for experimental research, indicating that his resurrection had drawn the attention of the major. At the same time, Michaela received another vision. She and Cal found themselves back on Flight 828. Surprisingly, Zeke, who hadn't been on the flight, appeared there as well. Michaela instantly sensed that Zeke was in danger, so she used her job privileges to visit him. She promised Zeke she would find a way to get him out and gave him a phone number, urging him to contact a lawyer. Regretting his decision to go to prison, Zeke managed to get released through his lawyer's defense and Michaela's testimony. Meanwhile, Ben sees Vance, who died in an explosion before his eyes. Vance explained that he had sensed a plot against him by higher-ups, so he faked his death to secretly investigate the major. By investigating the fund account, he discovers that the major has ordered a new DNA profiling instrument. Ben immediately recognized this as Sanvi's research, which had made significant progress. But how had the major discovered Sanvi's secret work? Upon questioning Sanvi, they learned that she had been undergoing psychological counseling due to the trauma caused by her visions, and she had only discussed her research with her female therapist. Could this therapist be the major? Vance pulled up records of all female majors for Sanvi to identify. Sure enough, Sanvi immediately recognized her. This woman had 30 years of Black Ops experience and was an expert in psychological warfare. It seemed they needed to figure out a way to fight back. Shortly after Ben returned from the flight incident, Grace became pregnant. During Ben's 5-year disappearance, Grace had a boyfriend, so the baby's paternity was uncertain. They went to the hospital for a paternity test, but just as Grace was about to have her blood drawn, she heard a voice in her head.
Stop!
Grace was bewildered, not knowing what was happening. Ben, on the other hand, was excited. for Grace to suddenly receive a calling. A reasonable explanation was genetic transfer through pregnancy. This indicated that the baby was his. However, soon after, Grace received another calling. This was her second calling, and she knew that callings usually heralded danger. To understand the meaning of the calling, Grace brought her son to sign up for Erica's youth soccer team, hoping to talk with her more, but Erica coldly told her that registration was closed and walked away quickly. At that moment, Grace saw the demon figure again in the distance. It seemed Erica was in some sort of trouble. The next day, Grace approached Erica again, asking if she was in any trouble, but Erica responded harshly, even cursing Grace. Grace chased after her to argue, but Erica's words grew more venomous.
I hope you lose that baby.
And Grace had to let it go. Since the return of Flight 828, some people believed the passengers were cursed and would bring disaster to those around them. A group of extremists formed an opposition faction specifically targeting the passengers of Flight 828. The leader of this faction was Erica's husband, Simon. Simon was an administrator at a university, and the creature Grace saw in the school building was the same monster she had previously seen. Fortunately, this kind is not a demon, but a demon called gargoyles. It seemed everything was interconnected in some mysterious way. The other day's bombing of a bar killed 6 people, all associated with Flight 828, and perhaps the opposition had something to do with it. On the other hand, Jared just spends all day at the bar and hangs out with some people. Since he's in charge of Zeke's case, Jared can't understand what Michaela is doing. He even leaked her information about tracking the opposition, causing Michaela's raid to fail. Michaela realized there was a mole in the police department, but she never suspected it would be Jared. Meanwhile, after the Major discovered Sanvi's research on genetic sequences, she accelerated her progress. Sanvi secretly conducted clinical trials at home using lab mice. Soon, she would know how to eliminate or replicate the callings. However, one day, when Sanvi returned home, she found all her experimental samples and data had been stolen. It seemed the Major knew everything about her work. Unwilling to give up, Sanvi decided to conduct the experiments on herself. The mysterious disappearance of Flight 828 was only witnessed by Cal. One day, Cal woke up suddenly from a dream and started frantically building something. With his father Ben's help, he finally completed it. Cal shouted,
That it's all connected!
And they all found themselves on a 16th century ship. At this time the sky thundered and flashed a fierce storm along with a roaring sound came. Looking up, they saw Flight 828 in the sky. How could a 21st century airplane appear in the 16th century? Could their flight have traveled through time, causing their 5-year disappearance? They didn't understand what this meant, but an ancient legend gave them a warning. The legend spoke of an expedition ship that disappeared at sea for 10 years and then miraculously returned, with the crew suddenly able to receive divine messages, much like the callings Ben and the others experienced. However, each calling would lead to a disaster. The crew fearfully tries to get out of the summon grip, but all the retrograde travelers die. One of them with a face resembling Sanvi. Ben suddenly realized that Sanvi might be in danger because she had been trying to eliminate the callings. He rushed to her lab. Michaela also hurried there. After showing her police credentials, the security guard opened the lab door to find Sanvi lying on the floor. This was the second time it had happened, and fortunately, she had been found in time each time. If it continued, her life would be in jeopardy. Ben stayed to look after Sanvi, while Michaela rushed off because her bar surveillance had identified Jared as the mole in the police department. She needed to confront him. Faced with the evidence, Jared finally confessed. He revealed that he had infiltrated the opposition as an undercover agent to gather evidence to take them down. During Michaela's last operation, the targets were decoys, so Jared had leaked the details to gain the opposition's trust. Relieved, Michaela knew they needed to act quickly. Zeke had been captured by Billy and his men. Jared convinced Billy to call Simon to handle the situation.
Simon's gonna finally realize how valuable you are. Okay.
Simon and his wife arrived soon after. Billy eagerly sought their approval, but Simon berated him instead.
This is not who it is. Plan.
Simon feared that releasing Zeke would lead to police involvement. Reluctantly, Simon ordered Zeke's execution and planned to escape through the back door. Unaware that Michaela was waiting, she stormed in and rescued Zeke. Now there is ample evidence to convict them. Months passed, and Grace successfully gave birth to a baby girl. Since summoning is genetically inherited, I wonder if Ben's 5 years of death will be passed on to his children. After being revived for a year, Zeke is nearing his death. he feels his body getting colder, as if he's freezing all over with frostbite in many places. Could it be that he cannot escape his fate of freezing to death? When the resurrected Zeke meets the kind-hearted Michaela, he falls deeply in love with her. Michaela's beauty and kindness captivate him, and she isn't bothered by Zeke's troubled past. Seeing him genuinely reform his ways brings her comfort. Their relationship quickly heats up, and despite knowing Zeke has little time left, Michaela agrees to his marriage proposal. They just want to create beautiful memories in their remaining time together. Although Zeke sought help from Sanvi, she couldn't determine the cause of his condition. After her previous 2 experiments, Sanvi had eliminated the callings but was left in poor mental health. Zeke initially considered having Sanvi experiment on him to remove the calling and possibly break his death date. However, seeing her current state, he decided against it. Not long after, Sanvi had her medical license revoked and lost her job. In her desperation, Sanvi approached the Major, carrying an unknown substance from her. The unsuspecting Major soon arrived, and Sanvi used this to threaten her into revealing how to eliminate the death date. But the Major refused, leading to a struggle that resulted in the life-saving substance being spilled and the Major dying seconds later. Terrified, Sanvi fled the scene. Meanwhile, Cal often sees 3 dark figures, filling him with fear. He doesn't know this is connected to one of Michaela's arrests. On this day, Michaela investigates an underground organization that manufactures illegal items, and just as the arrest is being made, Michaela actually receives a summons.
Let him go.
And it's as if the suspect can see right through her.
I'll bring down on you a holy vengeance like nothing you've ever seen.
But Michaela doesn't follow the summons this time. She understands that these guilty people are unforgivable, but this leads to a greater crisis coming. Despite knowing Zeke only has 2 days left, Michaela and Zeke proceed with their wedding, receiving the blessings of all their friends and family. Everyone celebrates inside with mixed joy and sorrow, while outside, Cal is setting off fireworks when 3 dark figures approach him. Soon, Michaela receives a call informing her that these 3 suspects escaped custody while being transferred to prison. Vengeful and ruthless, they demand Michaela trade the confiscated goods for Cal's safety. For her nephew's safety, Michaela complies and heads to the exchange point with the goods. Meanwhile, Cal manages to escape his restraints, and the 3 criminals chase after him. Cal, in his panic, runs onto an icy surface with the pursuers closing in. From a distance, Zeke sees Cal in trouble but finds him already captured by the criminals when he arrives. Michaela and her brother also arrive. Unable to act rashly, just then, a bolt of lightning strikes, causing the ice to crack. Without hesitation, Zeke jumps into the water, and soon Cal is successfully rescued. However, when they pull Zeke out, he has lost consciousness. It turns out that he had been seeing this scene frequently in his callings, lying in the icy wilderness about to freeze to death. With Cal appearing before him, he was able to save Cal before he died and fulfilled the calling. Though Michaela knew this day would come, she can't help but feel immense sadness. At that moment, a bright light appears, and Zeke comes back to life. With all his frostbite gone, did completing his calling break his death date? The next day, divers searched under the ice hole for hours but never found the bodies of the 3 criminals, as if they vanished into thin air. Not long after, Ben received another calling. The 828 flight explodes and crashes into the ocean. On a fishing boat off the coast of Cuba, fishermen have just retrieved the tail section of a plane, the remnants of Flight 828.